Hey everyone, I'm Robert, and today I want to talk about what it's like to go to law school. So first I want to say that law school was a great experience for me and that I absolutely loved it. There was just so much to learn and so many classes to take that there's just not enough time in the 3 years that you're typically there to take everything that you want. That's the downfall of law school for me. So in your first year of law school, all of your classes are basically going to be picked for you. In my first semester, my classes were torts, contracts, civil procedure, and legal writing. Torts is basically personal injury stuff. Civil procedure is all about jurisdiction and whether or not you can bring someone into court. In my second semester of law school, my classes were constitutional law, criminal law, property, and legal writing too. Now, of all these classes, probably some of my favorites were torts and contracts. Those are both really great classes. And I think one reason why I really liked them was because they were very relatable. So torts are something that happen all the time, and whether or not they rise to the level of lawsuit is probably a different story. The other class I really liked, like I said, was contracts, and that's another one where I found that very relatable. And we enter into contracts all the time, and sometimes you don't even know it. You know, every time you go to the store, when you buy something, you're getting into a contract, and learning about what makes a contract and what doesn't make a contract, how do you get out of a contract, that stuff, it really drew me in, and I really enjoyed learning about all that stuff. So in my first semester I was taking 4 classes for a total of 14 and a half units. And when I looked at my schedule as far as hours that I was in class, it didn't look that bad. It looked like, okay, I'm gonna have plenty of free time, I'll have some homework to do, obviously, but it shouldn't be too bad. But when you get down to it and you start getting your homework assignments before the first day of class even starts, you can tell that law school is pretty time consuming. So when it came to completing my reading, it was basically battling the clock. So there's only so much time to get all the reading done, but you can't start on Sunday night to get Monday's nights completed. Because if you do that, then you're going to be stuck with Tuesday, and you're not going to just there's just not enough hours in the day to complete your reading. At least there wasn't for me. I'm kind of a slow reader, I guess. So what I have to do is I'd start on Saturday to finish Mondays, and then continue. And so then by the time each class arrived, I had the reading completed and I was prepared for class. And basically, I'd read Saturday through Thursday. Friday would be off, and then I'd start the process all over again on Saturday. And it can wear on you. It's a lot of reading. There's tons and tons of reading. You read more cases than you can actually count. And then on top of that, you have legal writing as well, and so you have to write memos, you have to write briefs, etc. I would say the biggest challenge with the homework initially is really learning the terminology and figuring out what everything means, because it really is true when they say that when you go to law school, it's like you're learning a different language. It truly is. There's all kinds of words out there that maybe you've heard it before, but you don't really know exactly what it means, or maybe you've never heard it before because it's Latin or something like that. And that takes time because you gotta look up the word, figure out exactly what it means, and then from there you can continue your reading. So once you've completed your homework and you actually go to class, classes can be kind of a scary experience depending on your personality and who you are. And what I mean by that is a lot of times professors will just cold call, like they don't care if you're raising your hand or not, they'll just call on you. And for me, that's what made going to class difficult. Not difficult in the sense that I don't want to be there, but just kind of nerve-wracking for me, and a little bit, and always put me on edge, because although that I would have read the material and understood the material, being put on the spot is really difficult for me, and I would often find myself fumbling over my words and just trying to get out my ideas, and sometimes I was more successful than others. So for example, I would show up to class and I would sit there with my laptop and I'd just be terrified, like, oh my gosh. But particularly my first semester really had me on the edge of my seat. And although all my professors were great and really accommodating for me and all that, it's still just who I am, I guess. So if you're more outgoing, you don't mind talking in class and everything, cold calling probably won't be a problem for you. Now, the classes themselves, typically what you'll do is you're basically going to discuss the previous night's reading, whatever it was. There may be 2 cases, 3 cases, 4 cases. What you'll do is typically talk about the facts of the case and then go into the legal principles behind the case, why the case was decided one way or the other. If there's a dissent, maybe a judge disagreed, you'll talk about that. And all this is typically done through the Socratic Method, which is basically the professor asks everybody questions, and through that questioning, the students are supposed to come up with the answers and figure out why the case was decided or why it was. Sometimes it's gonna be kind of annoying because sometimes you just want the answer. Just tell me what it is, because I can't figure it out. Some professors are more into the Socratic method than others. Some will do a little bit of lecture and Socratic method. Some will do more Socratic method and less lecture. It's all up to the professor, really. So once you've been going to your classes, you've been completing homework, all that good stuff, one thing that's going to become really important is outlining the class. You're going to want to know all the legal rules, all the legal principles, and all that good stuff, so that when it comes to taking the final exam, it's really easy for you to go back and review. Most exams that I experienced were actually open book, open notes. So what they would do would be they'll give you a fact pattern, be a page or two long, and then you have to read it, analyze it, come up with your conclusions, all that good stuff. And having your outline there is incredibly helpful, because then you could see the issue that's in the fact pattern, and you know the legal rules and principles that apply to it. And it could really help with organizing your ideas and making sure that you don't forget anything. One tip that I would give before you actually take your final exams is to take practice exams. You don't have to take a bunch of them. Take one practice exam for each class, and what that's going to do is really going to bring out what you do and don't understand. You may have taken civil procedure for the entire semester. You attended all the classes, you did all the reading, all that good stuff. You have your outline, but you haven't taken a practice exam. So taking that practice exam may actually bring out that maybe you think you understand personal jurisdiction, but maybe there's something about it that you just don't get at all. And although that you thought that you understood it, now that you actually have to put it on paper, maybe you don't quite understand it to the level that you thought you did. And that's okay. That's what the point of the practice exams are. That way then you have time to remedy the problem. You can go back, reread whatever you need to do, figure out exactly how this stuff fits together, and that way you'll be more prepared for the exam. So like I said, overall, law school can be a really great experience, so long as you're willing to work hard and do lots of reading. I hope if you're thinking about going to law school, you enjoyed as much as I did. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'll see you next time.